I respect authors that care about what they're writing about, because there's people at the end of that paper that's their lives that you're writing about. That's people that like, that's their day to day. Like, it looks pretty on paper and that's a good pat on the back for you for publishing that, but what about the other people? Yeah, so my name is Paola Saavedra Ramirez. I take the two last names very seriously because I'm very much proud of who I am, and I think who I am is a big part of the reason why I do what I do. Born in Mexico, came here as an undocumented student, and have been navigating that ever since I was like, since like I came here at 3. So because of that reason, I had to navigate a lot of like adulthood, a lot of college schoolness by myself and through the eyes of my older sister wherever she could. So when I eventually graduated from, when I barely graduated from high school and then made it to my community college, I kind of just grabbed whatever was there. So I saw marketing as something cool. So I did marketing. I hated it. Met a really cool teacher in child development. Ended up running with that role. So I thought I was wanting to do child development for my career. I ended up being a teacher for a few years. Fell out of love with that once I realized what barriers the kids face and how far I could actually go to help these kids. Then when I started taking classes at SF State, specifically not child development, those two, but criminal justice classes, that was the conversations that I was missing. The conversations that were missing from the puzzle when it came to like child development is like, what other systems impact these kids? So when I started having these conversations, specifically in Dr. Lobo's class, I was, like actually talking to people about like what I was interested in. So I decided to add that as a second major after realizing like that SF State had the same kind of vision for, or like had the same kind of like thought-provoking way to go about studying that I wanted. My research topic was specifically looking into the ways that the school system and the carceral state marry, not just so much in like a school to prison pipeline, but like in the history sense, how that impacts Black, Indigenous, children of color, and just broadly system impacted kids. So the point of my research paper was kind of to bridge the gap between being like, okay, cool, we have a school to prison pipeline, why? Like my paper was to explain why we have it. The answers that I found were that these system impacted children have been the same across the school system as they are in the carceral state. And the ways that schools go about discipline now are very in line with the way that they saw the kids back then. The way that they saw the kids back then is influencing the way that they're treating the kids now, which is one of the reasons why they have like school resource officers. There's people in the high schools, like, recruiting for military, when the people that they're recruiting are like kids that are like literally on free and reduced lunch. So it's like, these kids are very much still being targeted, and they have targets on their backs by the school system, even if it's not implied, even if it's not intentional. It's there and it's ingrained in them because of the history. And because of that relationship that they've built with these children and these youth, it leads them to be perfect candidates for the carceral state because they've already had their targets put on them from school. School's pushing them into a certain kind of view or a certain kind of like, lifestyle. And they're searching for community anywhere else because they don't find it at school. I thought this journal was super cool. I love that Dr. Lobo came up with these things because it really helped kids that like felt like they had more to say, give them a platform to really just like amplify it a little bit more. And it helped kids feel important. Like, it helped me feel important at school, and I think that like because I felt important, I felt more inclined to learn more. I felt more inclined to put more and more effort into things. So I think that the way that faculty went about ARCJS and the way that I had my fellow students, like I had classes with other kids that had written, like we would automatically know that like, hey, that's my homie, like they had the same experience as me. I think what was super beneficial for all the students was having the connection point with staff. Some of the criminal justice, or some of the students that were writing for it, like wrote because they wrote well, but didn't necessarily have a connection to staff. And I think for anyone in a college setting, even in a high school setting, those connections matter, because you can literally just sit in their office, chop it up about your paper, and hopefully that conversation will lead into something else to help them grow, like, you know, career-wise. Maybe it'll open their eyes to something they didn't know about. And then also as well, just like kind of having a like-minded group of students, because you can kind of you feel isolated in these big spaces, especially in San Francisco State University. It's a big school. You have classes with all these different kind of people. So you kind of just like have your voice lost at times. So I think one of the biggest resources was just like the platform to be able to be heard in a different light, to be given like a little bit of like, okay, I see you, you know, keep doing you. We're here to listen. So that for me was what worked well. I think that ARCJS allowed me to solidify what my mission alignment was. I think that when I was first writing the first piece for ARCJS, when I first wrote it, that was like when I had just added criminal justice and I was still kind of new in the major. So I think I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So I wrote about something that I'm not necessarily passionate about, but I was very curious about. And I think that fed the want for me to like actually learn stuff. And like, so then when I had the platform to write again, I was like, well, immediately I know what I'm writing about, because I'm now more ingrained I'm more well-versed in the topic of criminal justice, and now I know a little bit more from my past history, so I want to marry that for this final paper. And then of that came my mission alignment of like, damn, that felt good to write. I want to do this for a living. Not just write, but like I want to work with these kids for a living. Whatever you want to write about it. You will write well when you're interested and when you care about what you're talking about. Pick something you care about. Pick something you're interested in. Don't pick anything that, you know, just would make you look good. Pick something that you actually care for. And once you figure out what you care for, write about it the way that you would want someone to write about you. You know, be mindful, be respectful, and care about the topic that you're writing about. I think the only other piece that I wanted to leave here with was, I'm an undocumented student. I do not know when they will decide that I need to go back. I do not know if I will stay. My future has always been wishy-washy, but I have never looked at that and had it scare me away from doing things that I wanted to do. So if you're undocumented, if you don't know what your status is, and I'm reaching out to y'all specifically because this is a very real struggle, just do it. Just do it. Even if we get sent back, even if we stay here, we'll be proud that we even tried to do it. So do it. You guys want to get in contact with me? I'm a case manager at Fresh Lifelines for Youth. Here, it's all around the Bay Area. There's one in Richmond, in Oakland, here in San Mateo County, and then in San Jose. If you guys want to volunteer, if you guys are interested in a job, my email is P as in Pablo, S as in Sierra, Ramirez @flyprogram.org. And yeah, shout out SF State Criminal Justice Department.